Hello, this is Barbara Bird with the League of Women Voters of Portland, and you are watching the Video Voters Guide or listening to our podcast. We're here today to talk with a candidate running in the November 5th, 2024 election. We're grateful for the support of the Carol and Velma Sailing Foundation, the League of Women Voters of Portland Education Fund, the Weiss Foundation, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me today is John Walker, running for City of Portland Councilor District 3, which includes most of Southeast Portland. Welcome, Mr. Walker.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, well, let's get started. So how about please tell us a little about yourself and why you're running for this office.
Well, I'm running as the most boring policy nerd in Portland because I want to make city government as boring as I am because when it works, it's boring. When you hear about it, it's usually because it screwed something up real bad. And I just want boring competency in city government. I live in the Richmond neighborhood. I've got two little boys. One of them is in the Atkinson Spanish immersion program. I've got a sensible bedtime. I love Portland. I love everything about Portland. But the problem is we have a lot of great ideas. We've got a lot of generous voters, but we keep screwing up the implementation to all the ideas we've been putting forward. And you can have a high tax, high service society, or you can have a low tax, low service society. But a high tax, poor service society is just not politically sustainable. And as a sort of old school progressive who believes government should help people, I am fearful of the backlash if we do not take the implementation of government seriously. I got my master's in public policy from PSU. I was a policy journalist for over a decade. I am now the senior policy analyst at the Office of Actuarial and Financial Analytics at the Oregon Health Authority. I regulate the largest contracts the state has in the Medicaid program. We need to look at where we're spending money, look at all the contracts we have with all the different providers. We need to set metrics. We need to set goals. We need to make sure they're being delivered on. Because I want Portland to succeed, and I think it needs that level of deep policy experience to be on the council to deal with a lot of the issues we have, where we just have not been delivering on what we've been promised.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little about your ideas for working productively with other council members from your district?
I think what I would bring to the council is I have a financial background. I have a regulatory background. I have drafted laws. I have drafted new rules. I have examined contracts and subcontracts. I understand the process of creating policy all the way through and then auditing that process in the contracts that have emerged from it and everything. And what I want to bring to the city council is, even if I don't agree with the idea you have, I want it to succeed. I don't want it to fail just because we didn't implement it well. So if you come to me with any idea, I will sit down and be like, okay, what is your goal? What is the metric we're going to use to sort of test this goal? What is an implementation timeline? When are we going to come and evaluate this? And I will help you craft all those steps to it, help you modify it, help you look for the hurdles, the different stakeholder involvements you need. So I want to provide that expertise and that background, which I don't think a lot of people have. And the city council is going to have a very small staff. Currently, it's only set to be one person. And I think if you do not have people with policy experience on it, you're going to basically be rolled by the city agencies because the council will just not have the experience to push back or say what needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. You're listening to the Video Voters Guide interview and podcast of John Walker, who is running for City of Portland Councilor District 3. Mr. Walker, what, if any, actions would you consider taking to address the current concerns related to the critical energy infrastructure hub on the Willamette River?
Yeah, I believe this is a fairly complicated issue. I have my concerns as well, particularly about the safety of it in a worst case scenario. And I do not want to see it be in a situation where we are privatizing the profits, we're socializing the losses. If something was to happen, I don't think any of the organizations that have any of the companies that are there would be able to cover the cleanup cost of something like that. And so I think what we have to do is look at the policies and look at all the unintended consequences. Um, I don't want us to get in a situation where if we force rapid change, it just causes them to move all those facilities, 5, 10, 20 miles down the river, where it would still be our problem, but the city of Portland would have no control over it. I want to see us properly create a reasonable timeline to properly retrofit what we can, and remove what can't be retrofitted, and make sure it's removed to a place that is safe and stable, not just someplace outside of regulatory control.
Thank you. Are you satisfied with the performance of the Joint Office of Homeless Services? And if not, what changes would you support? Please explain your answers.
No, I'm not satisfied with it. I can't imagine anyone being particularly satisfied with it. We do not keep metrics. We do not keep goals. We do not provide services the way we should. I think it was just like this last month that we are finally going to have a computer system that will tell responders where shelter beds are available. It's basically up to now, if you saw someone in critical need, you'd have a big piece of paper and you'd just be calling down a list of shelters to see if someone had space for them. That is just an unacceptable level over all the time and money we put into it. I do not like the way the joint, quote unquote, these joint structures have been set up. It gets in the way of accountability. It gets in the way of understanding what's been happening. I think what we need to make our focus is creating space of all types as rapidly as possible and making sure and requiring people to use them. We've had an experiment of whether unsheltered camping will result in better outcomes, and it hasn't. The mobility amongst people who are unsheltered is through the roof. The difficulty of bringing them back into society after a long time in a situation like that is high. Half the fires in Portland are now caused by unsheltered camping. It is only a matter of time before there is a serious disaster that results from it. No, we have not had the right goals, we have not had the right metrics, and we have not had the right oversight.
Okay, thank you. We're about out of time, but thank you, Mr. Walker, for spending this time with us. And this concludes our video voters guide and podcast interview of the League of Women Voters of Portland, of John Walker, running for City of Portland Councilor, District 3.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. And so I want to remind the listeners that Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. To find additional election resources, please check out the webpage of the League of Women Voters of Portland. That's lwvpdx.org. And then exercise your right to vote. Your voice matters. Thank you for your interest.